So Tiger Woods is making a shock return on the PGA Tour at the Genesis Invitational this week, competing for the first time since the Open Championship last July. But can he win it? Andy, what do you think? What are you expecting from Tiger this week?
Look, Harry, I think it's great news. It's a slight shock, to be honest, that there had been a rumor that he would be part of this tournament. Obviously, his charity supports this tournament, the Tiger Woods Foundation. I think it's not only great news for the PGA Tour. You could see that in the faces of the PGA Tour players when they come off the course on the second round at Phoenix Open, and they're all like, "Wow, he's actually playing." So you get the sense of there's real excitement from the players. I think the industry at large. And the sport in general, I think, even if you're not really mad into golf, you will know Tiger Woods and the story and the history of him. So it's great. And he just brings an extra excitement to the tournament this week. And look, is he going to win? Wow. It would be nice to think. He's obviously stuck on that 82 PGA Tour wins with the late, great Sam Snead. You think it's written in the stars that, arguably the greatest golfer of all time, in my opinion, he is the greatest golfer of all time, that he will get that 83rd win at some stage. But look, he's 47 years old. Had a car crash, was it 2 years ago this month? And many of us weren't even sure he'd ever play the game again. So I think we have to be thankful that he's back on tour and doing his thing. But look, can he win? I really hope he can do it. To answer your question, I don't think it will be this week, though, sadly. We actually put a poll out to GolfMagic readers over the weekend to see what they thought. The results are quite interesting. 41% think he's going to miss the cut, which is fair, yeah. 40% think he's going to make the cut but finish outside the top 25, which is where I think he will be. I think he will make the cut, but I think, outside the top 25. 15% think he's going to finish inside the top 10. And 4% think he's going to win it. So there is the ardent Tiger Woods fans probably in that 4%, but
the loyal 4%, yeah.
But let's hope. But I think as I say, really, it's just great that Tiger's back, just to bring that added excitement to the tournament. It's an elevated event as it is, and I think Tiger being elevates it even further, right? But I just hope he can stay fit, healthy, keep a smile on his face, and hopefully we'll see him at the Masters in April, because I think everyone is going to want to see him at the first major of the year.
100%. And that loyal 4%, I'm sure, will only go up. But I mean, you mentioned there, he's 47, isn't he? So he's nearly 50. Mm-hmm. Do you think he just wants sort of one last kind of big hurrah, big moment before he then calls it quits eventually? Or do you think there's something within him that's just going to keep going?
It's a great question, to be fair. And I think, what I will say is that when Tiger speaks to the media, he says that he can still play all the shots. He still believes he's got the game right to win majors. He still believes, he's 3 majors behind Jack Nicklaus's 18 record. He's on 15. He still thinks he can do it in the back of his mind. And I think, what was it? Mickelson winning the US PGA, obviously 50 years old. He kind of looks at that, and Mickelson's been an arch rival of his through the years. He kind of looks at that and goes, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And he did win a US Open with a broken leg back in the day, right? Against all the odds, nobody thought he would win the 2019 Masters. Somehow managed to do that. This is Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer that's ever lived. We should never write him off. And I'm not going to write him off. I personally don't think he will win another tournament again. It might come at a Sanderson Farms tournament or a Shriners Hospitals for Open tournament, where the field's not quite as deep. There might be a tournament for him at some stage when he's playing well. But I just think with these elevated events, the strength and depth of these events, you look at how well the top players are playing at the minute. And it worries me that Tiger's saying, I'm not sure I can walk 72 holes at the moment. I've got all the shots, but I'm not sure I can walk 72 holes. And that to me is you need to be fit and healthy to win on tour these days. And if he's flagging towards a tournament on the weekend, and you've got Rahm and McIlroy and Scheffler all, with their A game, I just don't know how he competes with that. But let's see. We can't write him off, and I hope he does it. I feel like it's written in the stars, maybe, that he does get that 83rd PGA Tour win at some stage. So let's hope.
write Tiger Woods off if
Nope.
you dare.
That's it.
Well, we'll see how he gets on. But before we look forward, I suppose, to this week's action, shall we take a little look back at the weekend's action? So we had the WM Phoenix Open and the Singapore Classic, didn't we, Andy? Talk us through what went on there.
So first things first, congratulations to Matt, who actually picked Scottie Scheffler. Matt has sadly departed.
Doesn't matter, he's gone now.
Departed us, but we will claim it, and that's the third winning GolfMagic pick in the last 4 weeks. So well done to Matt. Scottie Scheffler was 10-1, so a good pick. Scottie Scheffler defended the tournament, the WM Phoenix Open. It's the first time, believe it or not, he's had the opportunity to defend a title, because obviously he won his maiden title at the 2022 Phoenix Open, and he managed to do it. That takes a lot of balls to do that, to come out with the expectations high. He hadn't won since the Masters last April. A lot of critics out there saying, is Scheffler, and me being one of them, kind of where is Scheffler's game at the minute? But I think, he's answered all his critics, certainly this week. Closed with a flawless 65 to win by 2 shots. That's now the third time this season where a player has successfully defended their title. McIlroy did it at the CJ Cup. Max Homa did it at the Fortinet Championship. After the round, he was interviewed, about his performance, and he didn't really. He kind of said, it was like a B game there. It wasn't his A game at all. So I think, like we said recently with McIlroy, who didn't have his A game in Dubai but still managed to win. Scheffler, similar result this week. 19 under par, and you not got your A game. That's ominous for everyone else, I think, moving forwards. But the interesting thing is he's now back to world number 1, Scottie Scheffler. So he does replace Rory McIlroy. Just taking a quick look at the world number 1 ranking right now, and there's 0.8 points separating Scheffler, McIlroy, and Rahm at the top of the world. And I think that's great for the sport. I really do. I think it keeps it entertaining, chop and change every week, and I think that's what we want to see. And I think these 3 guys, Scheffler, McIlroy, and Rahm, have really separated themselves from everyone else now on the PGA Tour, in my eyes. I think, and the good thing is, you ask them, they all think that they're world number 1. They all believe that they are the best player in the world. Scheffler is officially. McIlroy thinks he's world number 1, and Jon Rahm has been kind of, obviously winning left, right, and centre over the last 3-4 months. He probably has shown he is the hottest player on tour right now. So I think it keeps it very interesting. It's not like the days of, obviously, just speaking about Tiger, but where Tiger Woods was world number 1 for 680 odd weeks. It was kind of inevitable that he was world number 1. Testament to obviously how good Tiger was, but I think it just keeps it very, very interesting every week, and it's going to keep changing. Next week McIlroy will probably be number 1, or Rahm. It'll be a lot of shifting going on. So 3 guys, and they've all come out with early season wins. They've set the bar very high this year, and I think it could be. You obviously know what my thoughts of McIlroy this year. I personally do believe he is the best player in the world. I think he's going to have a blinder of a year, but I think it's going to be a great year for Scheffler and Rahm as well. So a brilliant start to 2023 anyway, for all 3 players.
Yeah, you're really spreading it across. You're not committing too much.
Well, I think McIlroy's going to win 2 majors this year. I will stick. I still believe that. I certainly think McIlroy will win 1 major this year. I really do, and I hope it's at the Masters. So he can complete the career Grand Slam. I think we would all love to see that. But Scheffler and Rahm, you feel, will certainly be right in the shake-up come the majors this year, from what I've seen so far, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we've got a special guest coming on a little later on in the show, but I'm actually I just want to sideline you quickly. This wasn't in the plan. Okay. But can we talk just briefly about retired footballer Gareth Bale?
Okay, yeah.
Because, was he always a golfer? Did I miss that? Or, he took part in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, right? And was pretty decent.
Yeah, no, he's been, honestly, was it during at the World Cup? He was told by the manager there would be no golf at the World Cup for Wales. No golf at all, Gareth. And what's he done? He's brought a golf sim along with him so that all the lads can play golf in the hotel area or whatever. He's fanatical. What was it when, obviously, during that, do you remember the Wales football result last year when he brought the flag out? Was it Wales, Golf, Madrid in that order kind of thing, or whatever it was? He's fanatical about golf. He's kitted out in all the tailor-made gear, and apparently plays off 2. He's a 2 handicapper. Obviously played in Pebble Beach, played some great shots. He wants to get there. I recently spoke to Lee Sharp, ex-Man United, one of heroes of mine, and he wants to make it big. Now he's got to 50 years old. He wants to make the seniors tour. there's guys now when they finish football and they've just constantly, all they can do now is just play golf, get that rhythm, get, kind of just play more regularly. And you never know what might happen. But look, is Gareth Bale going to become a professional golfer? Possibly. But is he going to get onto the main tour? No, I'd be stunned if that happens. I mean, I hope he does. It'd be great. But, if you're two handicapper, mid-30s, it's going to be hard, right, to compete with the world's best. But a nice story, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, I just think what a brilliant story, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it all seems to happen so quickly as well since stopping football, and then suddenly, wow, okay, here we go. And you can check out, there's an article on him on the GolfMagic website as well, so feel free to check that one out when you can. Mm-hmm. Well, he's our next target for a guest then at some stage.
Absolutely.
Now, before we come on to our guest, we've also got to talk about the Singapore Classic, haven't we? Which took place last weekend. Andy, what happened?
Yeah, no successful tips in that one, but we did say it was a hard one to call. It really was. It's the thing with these DP World Tour events, with all due respect to them, they're not the strongest of fields, and it is quite hard to pick that winner. But congratulations to South Africa's Ockie Strydom, who has now won 2 DP World Tour titles in his last 5 starts. Also won the Alfred Dunhill Championship at the start of the season. Incredible performance. Closed with a course record 63 to beat Sami Välimäki by 1 shot. Välimäki was actually winning by 3 shots with 6 holes to play, but Ockie made 4 birdies on the last 6 to steal it by 1. Incredible up and down on the last. If you guys haven't managed to watch the bump and run he played into the bank on 18, absolutely superb. Chipped it up to within a foot. Ultimately, the birdie was good enough. But I think it's a nice story for someone like Ockie. He's 38 years old. He's something of a journeyman pro. Had a fairly successful career on South Africa's Sunshine Tour. But it just proves, age is no barrier in the sport. And don't get me wrong, 38 is not old by any stretch of the imagination. But, for someone who suddenly it's been quite hard to win on the main circuit, he's now won twice. His first 2 titles on the DP World Tour have come in his last 5 starts. So I think, it's great. And you look back on some successful careers when guys have reached late 30s, early 40s. Miguel Angel Jimenez arguably played the best golf of his life in his 40s and in his 50s on the Champions Tour. Vijay Singh, winning multiple PGA Tour titles in his 40s and got to World No.1. As I say, age is no barrier, and that's probably the beauty of our sport, that it's never too late for even someone like Gareth Bale.
Yeah, it's never too late. Never too late. I've just started properly trying to go through it with my golf as well. I went to a driving range last week for the first time.
I did see your Instagram.
Forever.
Yes. Very good, mate.
The thing is, I started off strong, but then I started thinking about it too much, and then I got worse as I progressed. So it's a mental game, isn't it? It's all a mental game.
Absolutely.
And also, I'm quite tall, so I need longer drivers and irons.
That's why you go for a custom fitting session. We'll have to try and sort you on out.
Yeah,
we've done a big article on that on GolfMagic, so you can head over to the importance of custom fitting. But no, we'll try and sort you out with one of them, Harry.
Oh, absolutely. Please do. Right. Well, there we go. I knew I sidetracked with Gareth Bale for a reason. But it is now time to have a little chat, shall we, with our special guest this week. And it's a very warm welcome to professional long drive athlete, Joe Miller. Joe, thanks so much for taking the time. We've just been discussing at the start of the show about Tiger Woods returning on the PGA Tour. So straight up, are you excited about that?
Who isn't excited about that?
Yeah.
Who isn't? I'll probably say what a million people have already said before, but Tiger Woods was and still is my hero. He was growing up. He was the goal. Growing up in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s when Tiger was in his prime. It doesn't get any better than Tiger Woods, and to see him come back, whether there be another fairy tale in the making or not, it leads to be seen. But to have him back again, it doesn't get any better than that, really, does it?
No, not at all. And Andy agrees with you. Sadly, if you're wondering where Andy's just gone, his Wi-Fi has gone kaput. So it's just me. So Andy's not here, but we'll power through. But we'll talk about that. And Tiger Woods, absolutely looking forward to seeing that this week. Another thing that's been the hot topic of just the golf world recently that we'd love to get your thoughts on. These Netflix docuseries that are taking over pretty much nearly every sport now. We've got the PGA Tour Netflix series starting this week, I believe. Is that something you're quite keen on? Do you think it'll be good for the sport in general?
Yeah. I mean, any exposure, especially the way it is. I know I know there's a bit of battle going on at the moment between the PGA Tour and Live Golf, or the Live Tour as we know. But I think it's up the game of the PGA Tour, isn't it? I mean, whether you say it's good or bad for the sport, the PGA Tour knows now it's had to step up a bit. We've seen that in the prize money, and and putting out these Netflix series is very trendy now. It's what's it's a hot topic. It's what everyone does, and it's a generation of spending a lifetime watching Netflix and docu-series. So of course it's always going to be good, and it gets it's nice for the sort of outside world to see a little have a glimpse of what's going on the inside as well. So it's always going to be a positive thing. It's always going to be something else that we can talk about. And whether they come across well on the series is another thing, but it's always going to be a positive thing, of course.
Absolutely. Well, let's come on a bit more about you then, shall we? Now, you're a two-time world long drive champion following victories 2010, 2016. How much pride does it give you to see world long drive well and truly back on the map in the US and heavily invested in as well in 2023? Are you confident you can win it for a third time in your career?
I mean, first to answer the question, first of all, the pride thing, I don't know if it's such a pride thing. I mean, we've had 4 years, or I've had at least 3 years of not being able to compete for reasons we all know. And it's been, it's been it's been a real frustrating one, to be honest. I put it bluntly. So to see it back, I don't know if so much it's a pride thing, but it's just nice to, the stuff that I've done for years and been involved with. Yeah, maybe I'm sure there is a little bit of pride in there somewhere, but it's more of an excitement thing to see it back. I'm not done with long drive yet, as much as what most people want to say and believe. It's more like, if I was out the sport, then I'd see a bit more pride in it. It'd be more along them sort of lines. But it's just the excitement to see. It's back on TV. It's back on, Sky. So hopefully be on Sky Sports and Golf Channel, where it belongs. And after a 3-year layoff, we still wait to see how it unfolds and how this new company is going to broadcast these events, and if there's any changes. But obviously the fundamentals are still the same. It's still going to be a group of guys, smashing it as fast as they can and as hard as they can, and seeing who wins. So I'm sure the core element's not going to change. But yeah, listen.
Can I be sorry? Just ask you to repeat that last sentence because you broke up there.
I'm sorry. I don't know whereabouts it broke up, but I think it's just the fact that it's back on TV and it's back where long drive should, and where it was before everything come crashing down around the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. It's just I want to get involved in it again. That's what the main thing is. More of an urgency, and I'd say it's an urgency just to get back involved, and let's see where we're at again.
Yeah, can you have any sort of realistic goals, do you think, for the year ahead, or are you just going to sort of see what happens as it unfolds?
Listen, I'm realistic. I want to see what happens. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh yeah, I want to win another world championship." Of course I do. It's an obvious one, but you know what? I've been in this sport almost 20 years now, and it's. Of course, I want to win another one. I'm dying to win a world championship. But I've still, all through the whole COVID and the lockdown stuff, I trained. I kept my swing in there. Wasn't able to compete. Wasn't able to do corporate outings. In times you're sitting there hitting golf balls in the range as fast as you can, thinking, what am I doing this for? But now it's come. Hopefully, all that prep and all that time that we had before this. Hopefully now that it's back, let's see how it goes. But let's hope that I've done it for the right reasons. I kept going, and we'll see how it comes out in the end. See what comes out in the wash, sort of thing.
Absolutely. In terms of schedule, do you know what that's looking like for the rest of the year? I assume you want to play the major televised events as sort of hopefully, and obviously the Worlds later in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had a brief look at the schedule. A lot of it, again, is qualifying for the World Championship towards the end of the year. It's a new company, so I'm guessing they're trying to find their feet a little bit for the first few events. They're not going to go all guns blazing. So the first event is back in Mesquite, which is obviously the sort of home, and it's been the home of long drive for as long as I've known it. But again, it's just a qualification to get into the the final World Championship in, I think, September, October time. But yeah, the televised events, the main stuff that we know and have come to know long drive is towards the end of the year. So let's see what happens. We're going to build up. If I need to do a qualification event, I don't even know if they're going to give exemptions or there's some sort of stand-in for being the next world champion. I don't know. But if I have to qualify, then I'll look at doing that midsummer and hopefully get into the world finals again.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Now, we actually caught up with two-time champ Carl Berkshire at the PGA show last month, and he made a huge claim to us on the YouTube channel that he thinks players on tour will need to achieve at least 120 mile per hour club head speed within the next 5 to 10 years in order to remain the best on the tour. Would you go along with that?
I would have, to be honest, I wouldn't have given it 5 years. I would have thought that's round about now.
Right. Okay.
I mean, who's world number one at the moment? McIlroy, right? Or between McIlroy and Jon Rahm.
Yeah.
McIlroy swings at a 120, 125 in that gap there when he's at his best, and we all know they're the ones that the guys are going out to beat. I mean, to compete, do you need 120 miles an hour to compete? I'd say 95% of the time you would do, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such a huge advantage, being able to hit a ball over 300 yards on tour. It's just, I mean, whether it's on tour, whether you're playing a Saturday medal with your friends, as an amateur, it is the ultimate advantage. And if the world number one is doing it and he's got a short game and he's chipping and putting well and his confidence is up, you're not going to compete with this guy if you're swinging at 100, 110, 115 miles an hour even, because he's just got such a huge advantage over you. So going forward in the future, the way that the sport is and the way, the youngsters are coming through now, they're learning a bit more about the fitness. They're learning a bit more about the nutrition. The equipment gets dialed in so much quicker. The ball flies further, as we know. You're going to need, if you're not taking advantage of being able to swing it fast, then you are going to get left behind. There's no doubt about it.
Well, what's your current?
Go on.
What's your current club head and ball speed numbers then?
Probably about 115 club speed. It's a funny one. Speed wise at the moment. So towards the end of last year, again, I wasn't competing. I was trying all year. I was sort of struggling a little bit, finding the right equipment and so forth. But towards the end of last year, I had it going where my playing drive was over 150 miles an hour. Now,
wow.
There's a lot of factors to that, but I was practicing indoors through the summer, but a lot through the winter as well, where I was able to get warm and I was able to just maintain swinging it, which I haven't done in my career really. I always had sort of winter time off, and no one wants to stand outside in the driving range in the winter in the UK. But I had access to where I am at Essendon Golf Club. They had an indoor bay there, which I never really used. And like I said, it was building and building and building. I was starting to get confident again. World Championship had come and gone, but I still maintained. And yeah, towards the end of last year, like November, early December time, I was swinging a playing driver at 150 miles an hour plus. Now, if anyone who's keeping track or knows about long drive knows that that's the top percentage of the guys. I'm not sure. I think Carl's a 150 guy with a playing driver. Maybe Martin as well, who's the current world champion. But it's 150 with a playing drive is a freak anomaly. So and it's funny because I never actually hit the long drive. I kept the long drive out of it because I was working a bit more technique and finding shafts and stuff like that. So I was fast, and towards the end of last year, where seriously fast. Cut forward about 2 or 3 months now. The indoor bay that I was at Essendon was being refurbed. I was forced to go outside. And you look, and it's funny because you're not practicing and it's freezing cold. All the speed went.
Really, yeah.
It's crazy. It's so funny. I've done it for 20 years now. Long drive. It's so far. It's so funny how fast it can go when you don't maintain it. People just don't realize it's so much about repetition and having the intent to go to somewhere to swing it fast. When outside factors take that away from you, whether it be the weather, whether it be lack of practice, where you've got nowhere to practice. It's just crazy how fast it can disappear. But I'm swinging it well. I'm just not swinging it super fast at the moment. But days like today, I'm going to get out there and see if we can build it back up again, and it will come back. I know that. But it's just funny how quickly it can go when you're not when you're not doing it.
Yeah, you need the right conditions on top of that as well, don't you?
Gotcha.
How far have you actually managed to hit a golf ball before?
I had the European record, 474 yards, for a long time. It's a funny one though. People always ask how far have you hit. What's your longest drive? How far have you hit? How far? It's in long drive. It's the one thing you don't really care about, because I know that sounds a bit stupid, right? Obviously, if I hit it further than the next guy, I'm going to win. I know that, but it's all the factors that could contribute to the distance, if you know what I mean. So like if you're training for long drive, you care about your club head speed. You obviously care about ball speed, and then you care about all the angles and launch and the spin and all the other little bits and pieces that come into it, because all of them factors will give you the distance. And then after that, you're down to the elements, you're down to the temperature, you're down to the altitude, what ball you're using. In competition, we all use the same ball, but are you into wind? Are you downwind? Is it a running grid? Is it So the distance. If someone says to me, I hit 350 all the time, blah blah blah, I want to be a long driver. Distance is the last number I'm going to ask you about. The first number I'm going to ask you about is what sort of club head speed you're swinging at. That's what I'm going to, because that will then determine how far potentially you could hit a ball. So. Like I say, in competition, we go over 400 yards all the time. But it's more a case of, that club head speed is the main factor. How fast can you physically swing a golf club? Because that is then going to be, the determined factor of potentially how far you will be able to go.
Now, you mentioned, though, about training in the cold winter months, especially being in the UK. So obviously that's a lot harder. What does a typical day involve for you at the moment? You get up, are you straight out the door, or you got to do bloody media interviews?
Yeah, the media interviews, honestly, they're get in the way all the time. So a typical day at the moment, although it's half term, so normally I'm taking my boy to nursery. So it's up, it's cooking breakfast, it's doing all the usual sort of stuff. I take him to nursery, then I walk my dog. So I've got it'll be 10 months this week. Wow. I've got a Rottweiler who's literally standing here making noise, chewing everything in sight. So there's an hour of cardio in the morning, hour and a half of cardio in the morning with him. And then the sort of work part starts. So I'll be training. I've just come back from the gym now, where I train, which is my gym. In my garage sort of thing that I train at, so which I built during lockdown. So like I say, it's you wake up, you do your morning routine, eat your breakfast, train hard, and then this afternoon, like I say, when it's warmed up a few degrees, I'll go out there and I'll be training in terms of the long drive, in terms of the practice part of it, whether that be technique. Might be having a lesson with Lee, who's been my coach since I can remember. And that pretty much sums up the day. And then obviously the evening part is to do what I've got to do, whether it be family stuff, relax, or more training. Who knows? Yeah,
well, fair enough. It's no secret that Bryson DeChambeau has helped get long drive on the map in recent years, it seems. What have you made of all that, especially with him going so close to winning the World Championship last year?
That was crazy. I mean, I don't know how much of you guys saw of that. That was insane. But I mean, if he would have come in sort of at the late part before COVID and all that sort of stuff, I'm sure it would have elevated it even more than it has done. Of course, it's brilliant for the sport. It's been amazing. It's put more eyes on it than probably ever before. It's just a shame that at the time he come into it, there almost wasn't a sport to participate in. It died its death. But what he's done and he's brought fresh eyes into it. He's got every single player talking about it. Not just about him competing in the long drive, but just how far he hits it now on tour is incredible. Golf is changing their games. They obviously see the benefits behind it, and whether you love him or hate him, it's done amazing things for us. Whether he will continue to participate in it now, leaves to be seen. But it was a huge thing for us. It's just a shame that he come in at a time when it had gone downhill because of what had happened. if it was at the top, 2016 when I won it up until 2019 when Carl won it, I'm sure it would have, we'd be sitting here talking about a different sport at the moment. But, hopefully he will continue to do it. He's obviously continuing to bring the whole long drive into his part of the sport, playing on tour. He's doing great for what he does, and it's done great for us at a time when it was at its lowest. So,
how important are all those other things as well to being a good long drive pro athlete? Because you've got, you need suitable golf way. Obviously, you need the equipment, nutrition. How much of that is weighing on your mind as well, and how much focus are you putting into those kind of aspects of it?
In terms of the nutrition part of it.
Well, I mean, nutrition, is that an important thing you think about now?
Listen, nutrition's always been one of my the things I've studied the most in terms of, but not always for long drive. A lot of it for training, a lot of it for health wise. I was always fascinated because I was always into the whole gym side of things anyway, even before the long drive started. So, I mean, it's it plays a big part. And again, it depends on what how you're coming into it, whether you're looking to improve, whether you're just a normal golfer that plays with his friends, whether I've had a couple of tour pros approach me asking for help in terms of hitting it longer, hitting it faster, health wise, training wise, nutrition wise. So it depends on what sort of stage you want to take it. Is it something that you need to do to concentrate to improve? Not necessarily. Is it something that can help you? Yeah. Again, for me personally, because long drive is at that peak of distance, you have to cover all aspects. So you have to look at equipment, you have to look at your training, you have to look at the nutrition part of it, because you're trying to push every single boundary. You're always trying to find that 1% from training, from weightlifting, from your equipment, whether it be from shafts, whether it be from the new head. It's something that it's just another notch, if you know what I mean, that you have to cover off, and you have to know what you're doing to improve the other aspects of the game. So massively important for me. For the average person, maybe not straight away, but it can help, definitely.
Yeah, and then I suppose, what about suitable footwear and things like that? How crucial is that to long driving?
I mean, it can be massive. I don't know if anyone at the moment actually has it right, which is a bit funny. Golf shoes are not designed for long drivers. Golf shoes are designed for the guy who's going to go into the shop, spend his money, and then go and play with his friends. Even the guys on tour, they need a comfortable pair of shoes. Are they necessarily built for long drive? Is there a specific type of thing? I'm sure there is. I just don't think it's actually been invented yet, or it certainly hasn't come into sort of our remit yet. Because especially if you look at a long driver's footwork, we dance all over the place. We have to. Our feet move. There's power. There's so much force that goes through it. A suitable pair of shoes, I'm sure, is a huge benefit. But has anyone actually designed the right pair yet? I'm not sure.
Well, there's a money-making business there to be had for anybody who's good at shoe design.
Maybe.
Yeah. Look, Joe, just the last couple of questions while we got you. Any advice to the GolfMagic listener on how to hit longer drives? What would be your number one bit of advice?
To the GolfMagic crew, listen, I know they're all budding long drivers as we sit here, but I would say number one is repetition. You have to go to the driving range with an intent to swing it faster. Okay, everyone looks for equipment, everyone looks for shafts, maybe even looks for, do I have to lift weights? The number one thing is go to the driving range with the intention that I'm going to swing this as fast as I possibly can, or I'm going to build up to it. I'm going to work on it. I need to know you need to know how it feels to push yourself past that speed limit that you're comfortable swinging it. 99% of golfers right now, if they go to the driving range, they'll be in their comfort zone. They'll warm up, they'll hit the driver, they'll see a couple of drive, that's a nice drive, but they're not actually pushing the button. They're not actually going, right, I want to go 10 yards further, I want to go 20 yards further, I want to swing it 5 miles an hour faster. How do I do it? How do I train for it? How many swing repetitions is it? So the one thing that everyone can do pretty much now is if you're going to go to a driving range, next time you're going to go to a driving range or practice, go there with the intention of swinging it faster. Have a launch monitor. That obviously helps. That's a huge advantage, but a lot of these driving ranges have that now. it is just about them reps. If you keep them reps in there and you swing it faster, each time, you're looking for that fraction every single time, but then fractions over weeks and over months will build up to a lot more distance. That would be number one. Okay. 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, you can look at technique. You can look at training. You can look at your equipment, but number one is going with that intention to try and swing it faster.
Yeah, practice makes perfect in the day, doesn't it? Okay, we end every show by asking the same questions, sort of quick fire questions, to our guests. Number one, who is your best friend on the World Long Drive circuit?
Is that a question you actually asked?
Yeah, well, not specifically World Long Drive, but who's your best friend in the golfing world?
Christ, best friend. That's an interesting one. Or
do you not have any? Is it difficult to have them?
I don't think you have any. I don't. Best friends in long drive. I've got a lot. Listen, I like all the guys. I've got to be honest. It ain't all about you want to kill the other guy, but there's a lot of good guys out there. Who would my best friend be? I'm probably going to really insult the guy that I'm thinking of. There's probably someone watching this going, "How's he not picked me?" I don't know. Do you know what? Jason Zubak stands out for me. He's a 5-time World Long Drive champion, right? He's the main man. He's known as the GOAT in the sport, and he's someone from day one. When I first competed in World Long Drive back in 2000, when I first made it to America was 2005. I first started in 2003, so 2005 was my first taste of going to America to compete. And even then, he was a 4-time world champion back then, and he was a guy that come over, introduced himself. And to this day, I still speak to Jason a lot. So I'd probably say Zubak. He's the role model. He's the role model type best friend guy in my side of the sport anyway. So Zubak would be number one, I think.
Well, when we get him on next week, we'll find out if he feels the same.
He probably don't even remember me.
Yeah. But clearly, I mean, you're very talented at hitting a ball far and fast. But do you have any other hidden talents? Do you like your cooking? Can you play an instrument? Anything we might not know?
Can't play an instrument. Do I? Well, listen. You probably nailed it straight away there. The cooking part.
Okay.
Now I'm not a Michelin chef. Don't get me wrong, but I can barbecue once or twice. So if you ever follow me on my Instagram, I'm always posting up my food that I cook barbecue maybe 2 times a day minimum.
No.
That's when you So if you talk about nutrition earlier, I was probably being a little bit blasé with it. Nutrition is important to me. And I do cook a lot of meat, so I would say I don't know if it's a hidden talent so much or it's just something out of necessity, but I'm barbecuing a lot. I like to cook a good steak, so I'd say I'm half decent at that. Okay. I'm certainly better at that than I'm at playing an instrument anyway.
Yeah, all right, we'll accept that. Final one for you though. What would you be doing if you weren't a pro long driver?
What would I be doing? These questions. What would I be doing? What would be my interest? I don't know. Hey, we're back.
Oh, he's back. Right at the end.
Sorry about that. The $1 million question.
$1 million question.
I don't. Do you know what would I be doing? I'd be doing something outdoorsy. I'd be doing something in sport. It's the only thing I've ever known or ever been good at. I have to. I'm one of them people that has to keep moving. So in terms of would I have some kind of job with sitting in front of a computer? Not in a million years. It's fair play to all them guys that do that. I don't know. I'd have to be outside doing something. You're probably looking for a solid answer, but the truth is, I've never known anything other than that. It would be. Yeah. My second passion's always been the gym. So who knows? Maybe something around that. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to help run a gym back when I was 19, 20, 21 years old. I love the gym environment. I love the whole health and fitness side of things and training side of it. So it'll be something involved in there, I'm sure.
All right, then. We'll accept that as an answer, even though you're skirted around it. Look, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you, get to know you a little bit better. We wish you the best of luck with what's to come for 2023, and hopefully we can catch up a little later on in the year and see how it's all going. But Joe Miller, thanks so much for coming on the Golf Magic podcast.
I appreciate it. Anytime.
Well, brilliant, as always, to have another guest on the show. Great to chat with Joe there. Hopefully we get him back a little later on in the year as well to see how it all pans out for him. But we're back with some more tips, and it's been hit and miss, but more hit than miss, I would say, or it's about even, really, for the events so far. So, Andy, though, it's all on you this week.
It is. No pressure.
Tips for what we're looking at, the Genesis Invitational on the PGA Tour and the Thailand Classic on the DP World Tour. So should we start with the Genesis?
Let's go to the Genesis. Yes, we've got 23 of the top 25 players competing in this tournament. Obviously, Tiger Woods is in the field. It's 40 of the top 50 are competing this week. So it's just a serious event. Look, not much of a tip, but I'm going to go Scottie Scheffler again. I really am. He's just, you look back at what he did last year, when he got that early season win and then won 3 more times in quick succession. I feel like he's that sort of player when he's hot. You kind of want to roll the dice again with him. 20th and 7th the last 2 years at Riviera. Played really well last week. But again, as I say, he didn't have his A game there. And you just think if he can bring his A game in this week, then I think he's going to be the man to beat. That you can get him around 10-1 at the minute. So similar price to last week. So yeah, I like that. I think that's the call. And my second pick in that tournament is going to be Jason Day. Slightly bigger odds. I think you can get him around 33-1. 40-1 in places, but those odds are probably coming quite quickly. He's one of my favourite players on tour. He's certainly one of my my favourite interviews I've ever done with the guy. He's such a genuine guy, former world #1, former US PGA champion. He's just been plagued by back injury, like myself. He's honestly, I can kind of feel for him, but he's shown signs of a resurgence lately, especially last week. I really like what I saw. Didn't see any. No wincing on the shots or anything. He just looked the Jason Day of old. Finished 5th last week, and I think he can ride that momentum into this week. But as I say, at the odds, I think it's kind of a standout price at the minute, 33-1 for Jason Day. So Scheffler and Day for me at the Genesis. Then moving on to the DP World Tour, Thailand Classic. Again, very similar field to last week, but I got quite 2 strong picks, I think, here. I'm going to go for Antoine Rosner, Frenchman. I think he's a real outside pick for a Ryder Cup spot in my eyes. I think he's a serious player. He won in Mauritius, 4 starts out, finished 6th last week. Odds of 20-1 at the moment. Again, I think those odds might tumble in. He's in form, fairly weak field. Great chance for me. My second pick is going to be Sami Välimäki. Finished runner-up last week. Thought he was going to win. As I say, pulled 3 shots clear with 6 holes to go. Didn't really do a lot wrong. Kind of Occy Stridham just came in there, as I say, with 4 birdies in the last 6 to pip him. But again, I feel like he's a confidence player. Second runner-up finish in his last 8 starts. Handful of top 10. I think he tied 10th and tied 11th in 2 of those starts as well. The guy's in serious form. And I think he looks fair value. I think he's around the 28-1 mark. Again, I feel like those odds will probably tumble in. So, yeah, I'll play Scheffler and Day at the Genesis and Rosner and Välimäki at the Thailand Classic.
All right. Well, it's all eyes on Andy's picks for this week. Let us know if you're going for them, or if you've got some other picks. Let us know. Golf Magic Socials. We'd love to hear them. But that is it for this week's show. Bit of a shorter one, but we'll be back, don't you worry, for another show next week. In the meantime, you can make sure you tuned in, as always, across the Golf Magic website, golfmagic.com, for all the latest news and analysis for everything coming up. And we will be right back here next week. If you have a question for us, you can get them in as well. Leave them in the comments section on YouTube, or you can tweet, Instagram, or Facebook us. Just search Golf Magic. But my thanks to Andy, for Joe, for joining us this week. I've been Harry Benjamin, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.